Alrighty guys, welcome back to another one. Today, we're loading up some black powder 16 gauge buckshot. We're doing one 2.5 inch shell and one 2 3/4 inch. We recently filmed a black powder 16 gauge buckshot range video and they all shot really well, just like them 12 gauge ones did. I'm not sure if the 12 gauge video is live yet on YouTube, but if not, it will be shortly. Now, we've only done this with 12 and 16 gauge so far, but it seems that black powder is patterning just as well as smokeless. Of course, we're only shooting the black powder loads at 30 yards, but I tell you what, they look promising. We probably could shoot them at 42, like we usually do, if we wanted to. In fact, we are planning to shoot these at our usual 42 yards, a part 2 to both videos. If you guys want to see us do it in 20 gauge, and yeah, I know the 12 gauge hasn't even come out yet on YouTube, but if you want to see us do it in 20 gauge, let us know. Could also do it in 10 gauge and 24, 32, 410, 28. Could do it in those too. You guys let us know what you want to see. We're happy to do anything, really. Anyway, why don't we get on with the loads. So, Gary Caskey sent me a 16 gauge hole trimmer. I have it set to cut a little bit longer than a 2.5 inch shell. This is a 2.5 inch dot. Nice purple shell. This is a Rio 2 3/4. I'm going to trim it down to 2.5. This is adjustable. You guys see roughly how it works here. It's a screw. There's a nut in here that holds the screw in. This locks the screw from moving anymore. It's got a blade, of course. A gas seal as a guide, I suppose. A part of a wad right here to keep it centered. And, well, this is supposed to be, hold on one second. Like that. It is adjustable. Phillips head screw. All you do is tighten it down or back it off depending on how long you want your shells cut. But I have it set to do just slightly longer than 2.5. See how it's going? And there's the first cut. Let's measure that. We are at 2.55. Let's take it down a little bit more. I like to work my way in to the 2.5 inch shell or whatever length I'm cutting to and whatever gauge. But I have found that with this style of cutter that Gary makes, it's better to work your way close to whatever length you want to cut to and then make a final just ever so slight adjustment on this and then make your final cut. It will get you a perfectly flush factory new looking shell. Let's measure it now. We are at 2.52, a little bit more. Alrighty guys, we are at exactly 2.5 inches. Very, very nice. I actually, neither one of us do, have a 16 gauge chambered for 2.5 inch. All of our guns are 2 3/4. There is absolutely nothing wrong with a 2.5 inch shell though. You can still put 1 1/8 in these if you use the proper wad. And of course the proper powder. So the powder we were shooting in the video is my homemade 2F oak charcoal, GoX and Pyrex. But for these two loads, I'm going to use my oak black powder. There you go. For this batch, I used the standard 75-15-10 ratio of the 3 ingredients in this black powder. And once again, this is 2F made with oak. Oak is, of course, far from ideal for nice, fast-burning black powder, but at the time, this was all I had, and I've since moved on to willow and eastern red cedar. I would love to try a batch made with alder buckthorn, but I cannot get any around here. That seems to be a really good wood for black powder, but I have to order it. So we were using 60 grains of this powder, 50 GoX, and I believe 50 Pyrex too. Yeah, it was 50 grains of Pyrex. This stuff is a little bit less powerful than GoX or Pyrex, so I'm using more powder. In the 2 3/4, I was using 70 grains of this powder. Alright, we have our 60 grains, and this is what it looks like in the hull. You can see it almost fills it up halfway, but that compresses. What I did to compress it is just get a nitro card. This is the overpowder card we were using. Set it right over your powder. See, right there is the volume we're at. Keep that in mind, that's about halfway full. Bring it over to your press and compress your powder. Now we are roughly a third full. Still plenty of room for a decent amount of lead. For a cushion wad, we were using one 12 gauge, 1/8 inch felt wad. Now, I said 12 gauge, but as you can see, they form fit these 16 gauge holes just fine. And it's a little bit taller than an 1/8 when it's compressed like this. Now we need a Mylar wrap. I was using the Ballistic Products My Slim Mylar. Here it is. It's the yellow pack. See, My Slim Mylar. If you can read that. I had it upside down, sorry. My Slim. This is for small bore, but it works in large bores too. In 16 gauge, it still gives you a full wrap around the inside of the hull. The My Thin Mylar, which is taller, has to be trimmed, and I don't want to trim my Mylar. Think you guys may be able to see this in there. If not, it is fully wrapped around the inside of the hull. We are ready for some buckshot now. Instead of my hard cast buckshot, I cast myself, we're going to use Ballistic Products 29 caliber number 1 buck. They call it 2.5, but I think most other people just call it number 1. Factory number 1 buck is 285, 29 cal. In that area, it's almost never full 30 cal like it should be. So, So for these black powder loads, we don't really pay attention to payload weight. All we do is stack these until we have enough room left for a decent roll crimp. So, I want to put this one on the scale and tell you what the actual lead payload weight is, and then I'll tell you what the payload weight is after adding buffer. These stack by 3s in here, again 29 cal from Ballistic Products. Oops, 12, 13, 14, and 15. You can get 15 pellets and still roll it, and it is 1.25 ounces. Nice payload. And of course, we were using buffer. We even did one with 260 caliber round balls, which was 1.5 ounce payload. Okay, we have the top row of pellets halfway covered with buffer, and that's all you really need. For an overshot card, I'm using the same, I believe this is the Maxi Nitro card. I'm using that, but I'm cutting it in half and then throwing that over top the pellets and then rolling it with the Reloaders Network 4-pin 16 gauge roll crimp tool. These are, in my experience, the absolute best roll crimp tool you can get aside from moving to something like a GOP, which those tools are in a whole other world. Oh, by the way, with the buffer, that is a 1.28 ounce payload. So before moving along here, if you guys didn't know, payload weight isn't critical with black powder. You can do 50 grains and 1.5 ounces if you want to. Nice subsonic load. You can do 80 grains with 1 ounce if you want to. That's a nice load. Or you can do 60 with 1.25 ounces. It really doesn't matter so much how much powder and how much shot you use, as long as it all fits in the shell and, well, you got a sound load. You should always pattern test your loads to make sure they're, you know, well performing. For instance here, 1.25 ounces in a 2.5 inch 16 gauge would probably be a big no-no under usual circumstances, unless you're using maybe Blue Dot, definitely Little Gun, but long shot will not do it. HS7 might. I do have about 2.5 pounds of HS7 sitting over here now, as well as 800X. So anyway, Little Gun will definitely do a 2.25 ounce load in 16 gauge 2.5. But yeah, usually that's a 2 3/4 inch only load. You can go to 1 5/8 ounces in 2 3/4 16 gauge with smokeless powder. And that powder be, lo and behold, Little Gun. I think I misspoke a second ago. That was roughly like, I don't know, 1/5 of that nitro card. That's all I'm using. You guys can see it's pretty thin. Setting that right over top the pellets. And we still have room left for a pretty good roll crimp. And sorry guys, I'm going to have to roll this off camera because as you can see I have no room here or the bar right here in front of me. It's just all piled up with tools and we're working on replacing a dryer right now. But yeah, I have to do it off camera. So as you can see, the Reloaders Network roll crimp tools do a perfect job every single time. Nothing wrong with this haul at all. There is no bulging anywhere of the pellets, the plastic I should say, from the pellets. Perfectly even, very nice roll crimp. And this may be a little bit hard to see because of the blinds back there, but yeah, I do have a taper on it. Huge fan of the Reloaders Network tools. Okay, so for the 2 3/4, I'm once again using my powder, my oak powder, instead of my willow, and 70 grains. Yeah, we're at 71, that's close enough to 70. Maxi Nitro card again. I believe this is the 70 thousandths. Set that right over your powder, bring it over to your press, compress the powder, and this is how much room we have left. Quite a bit actually. We need another 1/8 inch felt wad. Again, this is 12 gauge, but as you can see, it works just fine in 16 too. Another Mylar wrap. Just roll it up, stick it in there. You guys can't see it. I don't even know why I try to show you these. Let's go ahead and do the 29 cal again. See how many I can get in the 2 3/4. Exact same setup, but 70 grains instead of 60, and 2 3/4 inch shell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So it turns out with the 70 grain charge and a 2 3/4 inch shell, you can get 18 of these 29 cal pellets in there for a total lead payload weight of exactly 1.5 ounces. Once again, using buffer, Ballistic Products mix number 47. Top row of pellets covered about halfway, and we're using the Nitro card again, sliver of it as an overshot card. Total payload weight is 1.53 ounces, so slightly over 1.5 ounces. And as you can see, we still got plenty of room left to roll. And we have a really, really nice looking shell once again. Very nice roll, nice and even. No bulging anywhere of the plastic. Just overall looks great. The high brass and that purple just looks so nice to me. We've said this before, and we're going to keep saying it. If you guys haven't joined the Purple Haul Club, go ahead and join it. It's a great club to be in. And if you guys don't know what the Purple Haul Club is, it's 16 gauge. Federal 16 gauge ammo is purple. Most of Federal shot shells are color coded, and their 16 gauge is purple. See, this is Federal. It's only a couple shades darker than the 2.5 inch dots here. If you guys want to join our Patreon, a link to that is in the description below. It's $1 a month, as low as $1 a month. And of course, every penny we get goes right back in the channel. You guys get early access to content. Those videos I mentioned earlier, the black powder range test, are already up on Patreon. If you guys want to go check those out, again, it's just $1 a month. Early access to content like these videos and the range videos. The range videos are sometimes 2 to 3, even a month out sometimes, but on Patreon, you get instant access. You'll also find a link to our Instagram and Rumble accounts in the description below. Hey, just a word of advice here. If you guys have cats and hats like this, do not leave them lay on your couch, because your cats will screw them up. Anyway, guys, I think that's going to do it for me. Please like and subscribe. We always appreciate that. If you got any questions or comments, leave it in the comment section down below. We will get back to you. Other than that, you guys take it easy, and we will see you in the next one.